My journey with Mike Bickle began in the late 1980s, around the time I started at the Association of Vineyard Churches under John Wimber. Tasked with investigating allegations against Mike's church by Pastor Ernie Gruen, my friendship with Mike led me to overlook significant concerns. My bias towards Mike skewed my focus. I was more concerned about debunking the allegations than considering important questions about Mike's character, which I erroneously deemed impeccable. During the 2000s, my interactions with Mike became less frequent. The last notable moment of our collaboration was in October 2004, when we, along with Rick Joyner, addressed Paul Cain's misconduct publicly. For those unfamiliar with the Kansas City Prophets, Paul Cain was the most revered among them. The episode shows the complexity of our relationship and the challenge of maintaining objectivity. Our long-standing promotion of Paul's ministry meant we had a deep-seated interest in the outcome of any investigation into his actions. In retrospect, our proximity to Paul compromised our ability to impartially assess the situation and communicate the full extent of the danger Paul posed. When we confronted Paul, he refused to repent and fled all accountability. Herein lies a critical point of contention between Mike and me. I advocated for a statement that unequivocally condemned Paul's behavior, highlighting the decades-long pattern of what is now commonly referred to as sexual clergy abuse. Mike, however, favored a more lenient approach that left the door open for Paul's possible restoration to ministry. Our eventual compromise resulted in a statement that downplayed the reality of Paul's actions, portraying them as temporary moral failings rather than acknowledging the truth of his lifelong predatory behavior. This decision was a disservice to the victims, allowed for Paul's continued influence and for further abuse. I have always regretted not issuing a more definitive account of Paul's actions. Although it has been years since Mike and I ministered together, my last significant correspondence with him also concerned Paul. It was in an email in June 2022, concerning a chapter 2 revision of my book, Why I Am Still Surprised by the Voice of God. Mike's request to remove content about Paul Cain, whom he defended posthumously, highlighted a manipulative pattern now seen in other communications recently made public. Mike's assertion in his email that, quote, "a dead man is not a predator," unquote, overlooks the importance of addressing false prophets and the damage they cause. His accusations of bitterness against me, and admonitions that the chapter would mar my entire ministry, were greatly exaggerated, and illustrate his continued desire to avoid further exposure of Paul Cain. Moreover, Mike threatened to stop recommending my book if I didn't remove the chapter. For the record, I still included the chapter, although I toned down some of the language. Sharing these reflections, I aim to caution the younger generations against my errors.